Hello again, little artists. Today we are going to be doing some acrylic painting, and we've been studying Claude Monet and Impressionism, and we'll be replicating this Water Lilies painting. But first we're going to have a quick little tutorial on some color theory things and color mixing. So the first thing we're going to look at today is this color wheel. I'll hold it up a little closer. There are three primary colors of pigment, and those are connected here by this darker triangle. It is red, yellow, and blue. And you can use these primary colors to mix any other color that you want to make in a painting. So if you look here, the ones that are in the middle between these two primary colors, red and yellow, you can mix red and yellow to make orange. You can mix yellow and blue to make green, or you can mix blue and red to make purple. And then there's some other in-between colors here too that we are not going to talk about today because we're just doing a quick tutorial today, but just the general idea of understanding this color wheel about the primary colors, and then these are called the secondary colors. And then just a little tidbit, the ones directly across from each other in the color wheel are called complementary colors. And then one other thing to talk about here are tints, hues, tints, and shades. The hues are the pigments that are in the color wheel. So any of these would be called a hue. Okay, and a tint is when you take a hue, like here's red, and then you add white to it, and you can get pink or light pink. And then here's another hue, blue, and if you add white to it, you get lighter blue and really light blue, just depending on how much white you add to it. But those are tints, okay, and same with yellow down here. And then a shade is going the other direction. It's making it darker, or kind of like a shadowy color. And that is taking the hue and adding black to it, just a tiny bit of black, because blacks are really kind of an overpowering color when it comes to pigment, and it'll take over the color really fast. So whenever you're mixing colors, and I'll do a quick demonstration of that too, you always start with a lighter color and you add just a tiny bit of the darker color to it to get it to change color. So I'll show just a quick demonstration of that. I have on my palette, I just went ahead and put the three primary colors over here, and white and black, and we're just going to use one of these to just demonstrate. So the painting we're going to be doing has some dark green in it, so I'm going to make a little bit of a green color here for you. So I'm going to start with yellow, because that's a lighter color, right? And then do you remember what color we mixed with it? That's right, it's blue. So just taking a tiny little bit of blue, and I'm going to dab that in there and mix it. And it'll probably be kind of a yellowish green to start because I only put a little bit in there. So I'm going to take a little bit more and get it to mix. Okay, so it's getting to be kind of this is kind of a grayish green, I guess. But that's actually perfect for our picture here. If you see, these colors in here are going to be kind of a grayish green in the background with a little bit more dark to it. So if we pretend like this is our green hue, it's kind of a grayish green, but if we wanted to make this a lighter color, we'd actually start, I'm going to go ahead and take another paintbrush instead of washing this one, and add, if I want to make it a tint, I'm going to start with the lighter color, which is white, and then I'm going to make a separate space over here on my palette, and then I'm going to take just a tiny bit of this green and add to it, and see how it makes it a light green, like that. And if I wanted to make it a darker color, I would actually start with, this is the lighter of the two colors, right? Put it over here, and that dab just the tiniest bit, just on the corner of my brush in there, and it'll darken it up really easily because it's a strong color. Okay, so that's just a little bit of color mixing, because we are going to, for the most part, mix our own colors today for our painting. Okay, so that's the color wheel, some color theory, and that's with pigment. It's different if you're doing light mixing, colors of light, but just for pigment, that's what it is. So today we're going to go ahead and do this. So the first thing I'm going to talk about here, we are looking at sort of, when we talked about perspective drawing, you can't see any perspective lines in here. This is Impressionism, so it's really kind of a muddled look of what the artist has in mind. From what he's seeing when he's looking at the lily pond, right? But if you really look at it closely, you can see there is some perspective hiding in here. where it looks like the stuff that's right here in the foreground, the closest part of the picture, it seems like it's tipped down a little bit, so you can see the tops of the lily pads and the flowers in there. And then as it starts to get farther away from the viewer, it starts to tilt like this, upwards like this. So you can only just see like the edge of these flowers and like thinner lines, and they get closer together as it gets farther away, just like when we were doing our perspective. So we're going to do some of that in our painting today. But I always think, when I make a painting, I always think about what's the farthest thing away as far as depth goes. And that would be the water underneath here, underneath the lily pads. And it looks like it might be a reflection of maybe there's trees or something up here that's reflecting down. But again, in Impressionism, it's just kind of a modeled look. So we're going to paint it to kind of look just like wet blending, like we did when we did our watercolors, where we kind of wet blended multiple colors together and they kind of bled together. And you can do that by using various pigments, and you can also use it by adding some water to it. So I'll go ahead and do that. I'm going to start just at the top and work my way side to side and down, and I'm going to be using kind of a dabbing technique with multiple colors as I work from here down, and then adding in some yellows in here as I get down here, and like some lighter blues, and then this area down here is kind of a medium blue there. And then after that dries, I'll go back in and I'll do this in between color here. That's the top of the lily pads. It's kind of a grayish green here. And then the last thing I'll do is the flowers on the very top. And he used lots of blobs and swishes of colors. If you look really closely, it doesn't really look like you can see much detail. It's meant to be mostly viewed from a bit of a distance to sort of see the overall look of the lily pond. So I'll go ahead and fast forward and go through those steps really fast, and then you can get to do those on your own. Okay?
When you have a plan that I don't understand, your ways are higher than my own. In the wilderness, when all I have is this, the hope and comfort in your son. When you call my name again, you call me as a friend. You with me, you never leave me. I'm not alone, I'm not alone. And I've forgiven, I'm not forsaken. I'm not alone, I'm not alone. You're closer than a brother. You're closer than a brother. And I will hope in him, in he who has no sin. I am made clean by the blood, and you have paid the price, a living sacrifice. Oh, I'm surrounded by your love. When you call my name again, I know you call me as a friend. 'Cause you're with me, you'll never leave me. I'm not alone, I'm not alone. I'm forgiven, I'm not forsaken. I'm not alone, I'm not alone. You're closer than a brother. Closer than a brother. You call me out into desert land. Will you take my heart? Will you take my hand? You take my doubts and you take my shame. I know you've called me out by name.
All right, done. I hope you enjoyed replicating this Monet painting of water lilies. Thanks so much.